Good evening, everyone. The regular meeting of the Independent School District 279 School Board meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. on March 19th, 2024. This regular business meeting of the Osseo School Board is being conducted in the boardroom at the Educational Service Center. The meeting can be monitored electronically by streaming online from the district website. An archived recording of tonight's meeting will also be available on the district website. Seated in front of you this evening from my left to your right is Director Thomas Brooks. Director Heather Douglas was unable to make it. Director Tanya Prince. Myself, Jackie Mosqueda Jones. Director Sarah Mitchell. And Director Tamara Grady. Also seated in front of you is Superintendent Dr. Kim Heil and members of the Superintendent's Cabinet. Thank you. Our student school board representatives for the 23-24 school year that are present are Mina Beatty for Park Center Senior High, Hafiza Adam for Osseo Senior High, Gotham Barani for Maple Grove Senior High, and Reason Adkin for 279 online. Izzy Ander for OALC was also unable to make it tonight. Those of you who can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Director Mitchell, will you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, are there any additions to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Director Brooks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Prince. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Our next standing agenda item is recognitions, one of our fun things every meeting. This evening we have 2 recognitions. After board members and student board representatives have moved to stand in front of the board dais, I ask that Bill Kwan, Activities Director for Osseo Area Schools, please come to the podium to introduce our first scholar to be recognized, Michael James. We would like to have a group photo taken after Michael is recognized. So board members, please meet me in the front of the dais.
Good evening. I'm Bill Kwan, Activities Coordinator at Osseo Senior High School. I have the honor of introducing Michael James, who is one of 16 finalists representing Region 5 AA for the MSHL AAA Award. The MSHSL AAA Award honors high school seniors throughout the state who have a 3.0 GPA or higher who participate in league-sponsored athletics and fine arts. Michael James is a senior scholar athlete at Osseo Senior High who excels in the classroom, in band, and on the field. He has a weighted GPA above 4.0. He is a highly decorated musician, and he also participated and was named captain of the marching band, the soccer team, and the tennis teams at Osseo Senior High School. Michael will be honored at a banquet at the Minnesota State High School League Boys Basketball Tournament this weekend. Congratulations, Michael James. Our next recognition is the Maple Grove Senior High School Jazz Dance Team
for the second place finish at state. After we recognize the team members who are able to be present this meeting and get a group photo, we will be playing the video of their performance. I hear it's phenomenal. Coaches Stacy Marquardt and Jill Lesty, will you please come to the podium to introduce these incredible young people?
Hello. Thank you so much for having us. I am Stacy and this is Jill, and together, along with our assistant coaches, we had the absolute privilege of serving this year's dance team, as their coaches. So we're so happy to be here today and have this opportunity to recognize these student athletes for all of their accomplishments this past season, including an undefeated regular season, a 23rd consecutive conference championship, and for earning that second place runner-up in the AAA Jazz State Championship. This year's team was an exceptional group of student athletes. They consistently demonstrated how chemistry, hard work, and dedication, when no one was watching, as in practices and all of the quiet moments that go into an athlete's preparation, can produce magic when everyone is watching. And I'm not just talking about their magical performances, and they truly were magical, as you'll see. I'm also referring to the quality of conduct that these athletes demonstrated. As coaches, we love to hear comments and compliments about the quality of a performance, but we also love, sometimes even more, to hear compliments about our team's impressive sportsmanship. And these compliments came in droves from other schools, coaches, parents, administrators, alumni, and fans as we wrapped up the season. These dancers consistently represented the school, this community, and this sport in a way that would make anyone proud, not least of which is our team of coaches. So thank you again for your time and support of this team and this sport. Let's recognize these individuals who made up the 2023-2024 Maple Grove Varsity Jazz Dance Team. Starting with our captains, Ivan, Haley, Olivia, and Charlie, a few who are here today. And then we also have team members Emerson, Olivia, Lexi, Aubrey, Atya, Carly, and Alyssa. And then not here today are Peyton, Brittany, Stella, and our alternates Taylor, Avery, Gianna, Maddie, and Natalie. Congratulations, team.
Once again, congratulations, Michael and Maple Grove Senior High Jazz team. Our next agenda item is the Student School Board Representatives' Reports. Gotham, will you please share your report, please?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Gautam Durrani, and I represent Maple Grove Senior High. I would first like to honor both of our adaptive summer hockey teams for reaching the state tournament season. Despite two hard-fought games in their quarterfinal stages, both teams finished as the consolation champions in their respective state tournaments. Our girls' hockey team reached the state tournament but fell in the quarterfinals in a close game against Minnetonka. They too finished strong as the consolation champion. Two Maple Grove wrestlers competed in the state wrestling tournament earlier this month, with Jackson Schultz finishing second in his weight class. Rounding up our winter sports, Maple Grove basketball had some fairly memorable and hype moments this season. Boys basketball won their section semifinal game against Osseo with a thrilling three-pointer at the buzzer. With a similar energy, girls basketball advanced from a tight state quarterfinal game at the Williams Arena with a buzzer-beater layup last week. Boys basketball unfortunately fell in a close section final game against our friends from Park Center, while the girls finished a historic season winning hardware as they ended fourth in the state tournament. Crimson Model UN also had their spring conference this March at McAllister College, and Maple Grove DECA competed at the state conference last week in Minneapolis, with two of our members qualifying for the international conference in Anaheim, California for the first time in over a decade. Finally, I would like to recognize numerous teachers and staff at Maple Grove who have stepped forward to contribute to designing the building improvements as members of the core planning group for our high school projects resulting from the referendum election. They take time out of their week to meet as a group, driven by the vision of improving our learning environment to align with our district's goals. As a student of many of these teachers, I have appreciated their efforts to impact our lives in a multifaceted manner, and their willingness to discuss exciting new changes with us as students in a transparent and informative way. Thank you, and I sure am excited to rest and recover this spring break.
Thank you. Reason, will you please share your report?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Reason Atkins, representing 279 Online. I'd first like to start off by thanking all teachers and staffs for helping us chip away at the beginning of trimester 3 as we settle into our classes. At the beginning of this month, at the OALC's grades 6 through 12 gathered on an extremely fun evening with an assortment of activities catered to dominoes and a playlist that would just make anybody want to get up and dance. The two main activities are consistent between our March Madness basketball tournament, where scholars are on teams of 3 compete against each other for awesome prizes. Our other activity, which I personally created and organized, was our mascot kidnapping mystery. Students had to find clues all around the school to figure out which teacher kidnapped our mascot. Although the first clue was a bit hard, students began working together, and the activity absorbed the night, which eventually brought our mascot to safety. College and career newsletters are also being posted and sent out with tons of information. Scholars have access to learn about POSPA, PSEL, and financial aid supports, and more. As we take life after high school extremely important here, our counselors also make sure to keep the most recent updates available for scholarships as well. Juniors have also had an opportunity to write personal narrative essays to submit to many scholarships. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors also have the opportunity to take the pre-ACT and the ACT test in April. Sophomores are highly recommended and encouraged to take the pre-ACT test to prepare for their junior year. Elementary and secondary MCAs are also going to be occurring in April, testing on subjects including reading, math, and science. Advisory challenges are also occurring this week again. Scholars will compete between grade-alike advisory classes to see which advisory will get an assortment of prizes. Otherwise, the student leadership team is currently working on their final project to close up the school year, consisting of a K-12 field day and new yearbook modifications. I would also like to end off by saying happy Ramadan and good luck to anybody who happens to be fasting as well. Have a long and happy spring break. Thank you.
Thank you. Mina, will you please share your report?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mina Beatty, and I'm the representative for Park Center. As the new and last trimester begins, students are getting settled into their new classes and schedule. However, for some of us, like myself, the schoolwork continues as we prepare for the end of the year and graduation. I can't believe how fast this year has gone by, and it's only a few months away until my classmates and I will be walking the stage at graduation. This has been quite the anticipated week for many students and staff, as this Friday is our last day of school before spring break. I know I am looking forward to some time off and enjoying my break, as well as others. It will be a special spring break for our band, orchestra, and choir students, as the band classes will be taking a trip to New Orleans and the orchestra and choir students will be headed to New York. Juniors are continuing to prepare for the ACT, as numerous practice sessions and practice tests are available for students, and the actual exam for the ACT will take place on April 19th. Additionally, on March 7th, Park Center's Model United Nations team had a conference at McAllister College. 3 of our delegates were gifted awards as an outstanding delegate, and 2 for honorable mentions. This is such a great accomplishment to be recognized for positively standing out among hundreds of other delegates across Minnesota. So congratulations to them. Furthermore, Park Center is hosting a Black Youth Mental Health Initiative. This is a great opportunity that has been coordinated with the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth and the Minnesota Department of Health. It will be taking place this Wednesday, which is tomorrow, March 20th in the PC Auditorium, and there will be numerous games, activities, prizes, and gift cards available, and opportunities to be a part of Black-led youth change and support groups related to mental health. This is also a chance to get to know other Black leadership programs offered at Park Center and within the community. Park Center's boys basketball team won their section finals games against Maple Grove last Thursday. It was a very close and anxious game, however, our boys team pulled through and secured the win. They will now be advancing to state this week, where they will play this Wednesday, tomorrow, at the Target Center at 2 p.m. against Egan. If they win that game, they will continue to play on Thursday at 8 p.m., and if they win that game, they will play this Saturday for the finals. And finally, congratulations to our boys basketball coach, James Ware, for being selected as Coach of the Year for the Section 5A. And another congratulations to Park Center's gymnastics coach, Amanda Molden, for being selected Coach of the Year for Region 5A. I hope you all have a great rest of your week and a relaxing spring break for many. Thank you.
Thank you. Hafiza, Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you.
Will you please share your report?
Good evening, everyone. As we head into the month of March with spring apparently approaching, but it's only cold outside, so I don't believe it, I want to start off by saying Ramadan Mubarak to all those celebrating and observing this sacred month for Muslims across the world. A month of gratefulness and appreciation for what you have through daily fast from sunrise to sunset. In recognition of this, in recognition of Ramadan, Osceo's MSA will be hosting their first Ramadan Iftar dinner for Osseo staff and students this Friday, which I'm really looking forward to. Osseo students started their trimester 3 classes on March 11th. There has also been a new club that has begun known as esports. Individuals interested in esports or any online games are encouraged to join. Osceo's BPA, which I'm a part of, attended their state competition, which was hosted at the Hyatt Hotel in Minneapolis. It was a really fun and insightful experience, meeting people from across the state, and even got to see a hypnotist, which was really cool. I placed 4th in health administration procedures and advanced to nationals, and a total of about 6 to 7 people in our Osceo's BPA also advanced to nationals. The NLC conference will be hosted in Chicago in May. As we head into spring break, I wish everybody a relaxing break, and being in our final trimester of the year, I wish everybody the best of luck. And to the seniors this year, a reminder that we are almost there. Thank you and have a great evening.
The student representatives review the board meeting packet in advance. This month it was 256 pages. And are prepared to answer questions from board members on issues to seek student input related to agenda items for this evening's meeting. Board members, do you have any questions for our student board members for their input? I would also like to note that our student board representatives have agreed to start coming to at least parts of our work sessions where there's a much deeper conversation that happens, and we will be able to get more student input for that. So I appreciate your willingness to do that. Thank you so much. Okay, our presentation this evening is an update on building a better future. Presenters are John Morstead, Executive Director of Finance and Operations, and Lene Schoen of Wold Architects and Engineers.
Chair Mosqueda Jones, Dr. Heil, and school board members. Tonight's presentation is to provide the board with a progress update on our Building a Better Future building projects. We'd like to begin by thanking our partners in all of these projects, Wold Architects and Engineers, ICS, which is the owner representative for the district, and also ATS&R's Architects. Projects have been moving quickly as we approach the first construction window. This summer is our first construction season. The board awarded bids for Brooklyn Middle and in November, and for Northview Middle School in February. Both projects will begin construction in June, with Northview Middle School complete for the start of the next school year. Brooklyn Middle School's project is a 2-year project, so it'll be also through one more summer. We are also in the process of installing furniture at our 5 pilot locations next week during spring break. These locations are, and this isn't all classrooms in these locations, but some with more to fill in the summer. Osseo Senior High, Brooklyn Middle School, Northview Middle School, Garden City Elementary, and Rice Lake Elementary. The pilots are intended to allow furniture into buildings, or future buildings to be able to see the furniture in a live classroom environment, in order for our building leaders to be able to make furniture decisions more easily when it comes to their turn for the new furniture to come in. In the next few weeks, we will be releasing the overall project schedule for all buildings and all projects. The process for planning this out is extremely complicated. I want to take the opportunity to thank Ryan Hoffman with ICS, who's been the person whose job is primarily to map out all 66 projects that we have and track all the funding and track all the expenses. So a big thanks to Ryan and his team. That is a constant moving target, and we're trying to balance the workload to be able to fit into specific construction windows of when we have available times in schools that are up in session, like the middle schools where we only have the summers to do work, versus can we build additions on the outside of the building during the school year and connect in the summer or over a break, things like that. So his team does a great job with that. We've also spent the last 3 months in the first phase of the design process for the new elementary school in Maple Grove and also on Maple Grove Senior High. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Lene Schoen with Wold Architects and Engineers, who will walk us through the results of the first phase of design. Lene?
Dr. Mosqueda Jones, our Chair Mosqueda Jones, members of the board, Dr. Heil, thank you so much for having me here tonight. On behalf of Wold Architects and Engineers, we're really excited to share with you the progress of the 2 projects that are in planning right now. Again, the outcome of our presentation tonight is really to give you all an update on the first phase of both projects. The elementary school and Maple Grove Senior High are running on a parallel track for design, and we'll start construction at the same time as well. Just a little bit of a foundation on the planning process itself. Both projects have had a very inclusive planning process. You heard one of your student board members tonight report in on the involvement of the students in both projects. Both projects really rely on a core planning group at really the core of the work that we do. The design team really leans on them for information and input to make sure that we get the project right. What you're seeing here today is just an overall of the communication plan for all of the projects, and again, gathering that information at that core planning group level. The core planning group then shares that information recommendation with the advisory team, and then the cabinet hears that information, and here we are to share that with you today. On the diagram or the graph to the left, you'll see that we are just wrapping up the first phase of the project, and that is called schematic design. So the work that is done is that big picture input process. We've got bubble diagrams to show you tonight that land the adjacencies of how all of the spaces will be aligned within the building. And then we will talk a little bit, I'll talk a little bit about moving on to the next phase of the project. So with that, the core planning group itself, I think, is really interesting to understand that, again, the district has really set a great foundation for an inclusive planning process. And again, the core planning group includes representatives such as teachers, students, community members, parents. Many people on those core planning groups wear a lot of different hats. So it's a wonderful discussion when we're testing an idea to run it through all of those different perspectives. These core planning groups were empowered to make some decisions and recommendations. They were all willing to participate. They requested information that we as a design team brought back to them as the process continued. There was a lot of consensus-based decision-making to get to where we are today. We did want to take a moment just to recognize all of the members. This is the core planning group for the elementary school. You can see a lot of time went into this process. Each of these members committed to not only going on building tours, but 6 2-hour-long meetings. So if you can imagine the number of people, number of hours, a lot of great discussion and time commitment. Here is our core planning group for the senior high school. Again, a continuous mix of teachers, administrators, community members, and students that were very valuable and committed a lot of time, again, to doing building tours and attending 6 2-hour-long meetings. We did have an excellent team of district-wide advisors. So it's important for all of us to hear about where's curriculum going in the future. How do we currently practice a particular area or department within a school? And so these here are your members of your team that have just been amazing at attending all of these meetings and being wonderful resources to all of us. So with that, I thought I'd just share a little bit of an overview and a reminder just kind of where we're at with the elementary school. Again, the goal is to create a new comprehensive pre-K-5 elementary school. We are utilizing an existing owned site. The capacity for this building will be 1,025 students. So if you can imagine a school a similar size of Fernbrook or some of your Basswoods, larger sized elementary schools in your district, just to kind of give you something to relate to there. This building will be a little bit bigger. It's 125,000 square feet. The budget that was a part of the referendum was $60 million total for this project. And in the end, this building will be a turnkey experience. So as your students and families arrive, furniture will be in place, the building will be ready to go. This is the overall schedule for the project. You can see that we have the project designed or laid out into multiple design phases. So as you can see here, I've highlighted in yellow there that we're here in March. We are at the end of the schematic design phase. So you can see we're still in the very beginning phases of the project. We still have to get into the detail and nuts and bolts of designing the building, which is what we call design development, meeting with your teachers and getting down to where are the sinks, the countertops, light switches, that type of thing. Then we'll go into construction documents, and that's where we are heads down and working very closely with ICS and developing the contract documents that will go out to bid. Both projects will be included in a public bid process. We anticipate that that will be happening right at the turn of the new year, around January of 2025. And then you'll see things start moving on the site and construction will begin. So you can see it's a long process from when the referendum started, from approval to a year of design and then a little over a year for construction. Some of the buildings that were toured by the core planning group, we really put the group into situations where they could experience multiple different elementary schools metro-wide. So they toured them in person, they met with administrators, but you can see here the list of buildings that this group toured and got some great information to build a vocabulary and a language to be able to communicate with each other. And this is a photo at the end of our tour date with the core planning group on the new site. So you can see there's not much there yet. It's an open field and many good things to come. One of the things that we did want to share with you all is an exercise that we did at the very beginning of the core planning group process was asking the group questions on what do you want your school to be. You can see in this Wordle some of the great feedback that we got in regards to the vision setting for this elementary school. You can see here that the group did a lot of hands-on small group experiences. We actually gave them puzzle pieces, if you will, or the spaces that will be included in the new elementary school. They rolled up their sleeves and came up with a lot of their own designs and organization for the building. We did a lot of consensus-based discussion, and that's how we got to the diagram that I'm going to show you today. Just giving you an overview of the concept for the site. Again, the site is located in the northeast corner of Arbor Ridge Parkway and 101st Avenue. A lot of new development out in that area for those of you that are in the community. You can see here that we have a basic building that has landed. That's the dark gray, fairly centrally located on the site. We have a wonderful tree of a wonderful grove of maple trees, if you will, that really wrap the north side of the site. So this building and the core planning group has said, hey, we really want to have a lot of those great views of the natural things that are happening on the site. You can see that we're starting to develop parking, entryways to the site, looking at where do our fields land. And I think what's really important to introduce to all of you also is that we're working hand in hand with the city. We've already had many meetings. We've been talking about traffic, entrances, plan reviews, and so throughout the entire process, we continue to communicate with them. This is the diagram, which was the end result of that core planning group process. Some of the things to highlight here, you can see that we've got a main entry, we've got a student entry, we've got a student activities entry. So some of the key components here, you can see that the core planning group has directed the team to organize the classrooms and studios. So clustering some classrooms together. Many of us grew up in a double-loaded corridor where there's a hallway and there's classrooms on each side. The core planning group has said, hey, we really want to have more collaborative communities within this building. And so you're starting to see studios develop there. In the core and the heart of the building is the media center. So again, this group directed us to think of that as the hub of the building where there are information exchanges. We've got books, we've got technology, easily accessible in the heart of all of those studios. You can see that we've had some great discussions on where does some of our center-based special ed land. A lot of discussions around inclusion and making sure that all of the populations that are served in this building have equal opportunity and access and proximity to resources. As you move further down the plan, you can see there's a music and a band suite. We have a cafeteria. We've got that 4-year-old programming that's common at all of your elementary schools. You can see in that gray area, we've got our servery or our kitchen, our building support. And then what is starting to develop on this site is looking at more than one gym station. So in looking at what are the school needs, what are the community needs, there have been a lot of discussions on what are the potentials for 1, 2, or 2 gyms at the site. And so we're still having those conversations right now. This is a 2-story building, so let me take you upstairs. Upstairs, we have 3 more studios. And then again, some core flex areas, if you can think of maker spaces or technology-rich type of spaces on that upper level. So you can see just a portion of that building is the 2-story space. And so a lot of goals on including natural light, a lot of easy transitions and walking distance for some of our itty-bitties all the way up to our 5th graders in this building. So that's where we're landing. So this group, again, the core planning group first phase was to land the adjacencies. Now we're rolling up our sleeves and getting into the detail for this project. A little bit more here in regards to those learning studios. I saw a lot of you kind of get excited in regards to seeing this concept. This is a building that will include 6 classrooms per grade, if you will. Looking at toilet rooms, resource areas, storage, small group rooms, all within that learning studio. Some calm and quiet spaces, and in lieu of the traditional lockers that you might see in a hallway, leaning more towards the concept of a mudroom, so that there's an area there where books and jackets and materials can all be located together to open up these classrooms. And so this concept is to be able to open up some of these classrooms, whether it's through some mobile walls or glass windows, to have that supervision from the classroom out to that clustered learning resource area, again, to enhance that sense of collaboration and community. This group also did get a glimpse, and as we start modeling things in the computer, some people are not only plan readers but need to see things in 3 dimensions, so we started pulling things up in 3 dimension so we could talk about where that transparency is and how the spaces relate together. And then just a real quick glimpse on the design concept. This group again really leaned into the maple grove on this site and looking at some of the color influences that we see naturally within that area of lakes and trees, and that will have an influence on color palette. And so you can see that we've done some research and shared some of those ideas with your core planning group. I'll move right into the senior high school, and I'm going to follow some of the same format as well. For the project scope, the goal is to have a comprehensive high school. We know that at Maple Grove Senior High, we've got a large building we're going to be adding on. It should feel cohesive and united, whether it's new or old space. We will be utilizing the existing Maple Grove Senior High site. The current capacity, student capacity for that building is a little over 2,100. And the goal, based on looking at your growth projections and enrollment projections for that building, is to build for 2730. The square footage of the building addition will be around 65,000 square feet. And then we're renovating 34,000 square feet within the building itself to achieve some of the goals that the district has set for the site. The project budget here is $56 million. And again, having a turnkey experience, as John had mentioned, there will be new furniture involved in all of these projects that are happening district-wide. This schedule probably looks a little bit daunting. It's a little bit more extensive than the elementary school. But as you can imagine, with additions and renovations in a building, we need to take advantage of multiple summers to achieve this construction and make sure that we can have school functioning also and have a safe learning environment while this building is being added onto and renovating. And so ICS is continuing to develop the detail of this as the project details get hammered out. This core planning group, much like the elementary school, did building tours. So you can see that they went to check out what's happening at Shakopee, Owatonna, Wayzata, looking at different approaches for some of the programming, mainly focusing on career and technical education. And that's something that would be a common theme in all of your high schools as you take on all of those projects. And so there were a lot of learnings to be had there. Again, the Wordle, you can see for the high school, pride, safety, daylight, technology, all things to be included in this project. And then again, as this group toured, you can see the core planning group was hearing from the principal and I believe the superintendent in Owatonna on lessons learned of going through that construction process and curriculum changes and living in their new spaces. This is the overall site diagram for Maple Grove Senior High. Fernbrook runs right through, smack through the middle of the site there, but the building and fields are on the right side, and then we've got the Fernbrook site on the left side. But you can see that there are a lot of commonalities. We've got some shared parking, but you can see it's an extensive site with a lot of fields, the building, and parking. Here's an introduction to the plan diagram that the core planning group landed on. And I will just highlight some of the key components here that are included in the program. What you're seeing in more of shaded colors or lighter colors are the existing spaces. The colors that are a little more punchy and bright are where we're showing addition. So if you're looking at the north side of the building, you can see here that we've got the gym spaces. All of the athletic activity spaces are the orange on the left. There will be locker room expansions and then adding on a couple of classrooms and a multi-purpose space for PE athletics activities in that area. There will be a cafeteria expansion. So the cafeteria, as you know it, will be almost doubled in space, in size, to accommodate all of the students and scholars that will be dining or using this space for multi-purpose. You can see that where the greens are, that will be a 3-story classroom addition. On the first level lands a lot of those career and technical education spaces, the construction, engineering, FACS, that type of thing are all clustered together, hands-on spaces. And then a lot of science rooms will land in that, as well as general classrooms. This is showing levels 2 and level 3. So again, you can see in that green, that's where that classroom cluster stacks. And that classroom cluster will also be the storm shelter. Much like we did at Rice Lake for that project, you're required to have a certain amount of square footage set aside for a storm shelter. So that will have reinforced structure, if you will. And that will be your area of refuge in if there's a tornadic event or weather. Where you're seeing the dark blue right in the heart of the building, that is a whole re-envisioning of the media center, which will happen in every media center in all of the buildings throughout the district. And then a big part of this project too is creating that secure entrance at that front door. So moving some of that administrative team to the front door and then having that entry sequence that allows for checking in and greeting visitors in a safe and secure manner so you can track who's in the building. And then the last component really is expanding, because of the capacity, expanding band and choir. So a part of the strategy here is moving the tech labs that where you see in the bottom right-hand corner, you can probably read choir. The tech ed spaces were there, and they're moving back into the new addition, and choir and band will wrap up to kind of wrap that whole auditorium space in that music wing. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the nickel tour of several months already in preliminary design work, and I'll just wrap up with our next phase. Our next phase is called design development, and what you're seeing here is an example plan of, as I had mentioned, this is where we now set up hour-long meetings with all of your user groups, all of your teachers, stakeholders, and we talk about each and every space and talk about flooring and light switches and countertops and sinks and storage and all of that information. So this is going to be a 2 to 3 month process for both buildings, and we anticipate being back here in front of you at the end of that phase of the project to give you an update on all the details. And with that, I'd open up to any questions or comments that you might have.
Board members, any questions? I have.
I don't have any questions, more just comments. I think because of youth sports, I've had an opportunity to drive by or visit a number of different schools that I've admired. So I feel like seeing the pictures, it's about time we got a school that looked like the new elementary school. And I wish, you know, all of our students got to experience that. I think one of the things that I appreciated about this presentation was the intentionality behind the inclusive planning process and just highlighting who all has been involved in that process. And so for the district, if there's any way to highlight that and be more intentional about that in future presentations that we know are coming for other remodels and renovations, I would love to see that, how we're involving community and students. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the updates. Thank you for your work so far. And yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, the same. Thank you for the presentation tonight and all of the detail. I think it's really helpful to have the public transparency of the plans and of the timelines, knowing that these things are extensive in the planning and the development. So it's really fun to see these real, almost real on paper, and it'll be fun to continue the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work on this. I was just wondering, I'm looking at the high school plan, and one of the things I have heard from feedback from others is that there are not enough restrooms in the school per capacity. Am I missing, do I need better glasses? Am I missing them on here, or have they been added?
I'm showing you a plan that is a diagram that's hard to read. It's not a floor plan quite yet. But thank you for asking that question. There are multiple things that are that we're working on as a design team with your leadership at that site, and making sure that we have the right amount of restrooms and a variety of types of restrooms in this building is very much a part of the planning process. So if you see where the classroom wing is, where most of those green boxes are there in science labs, there will be a whole bank of toilets that are added there. There will also be, in addition to everything that you already have, and there will also be another big bank of toilets that are added as we look at that core area media center remodel, as there are very little toilets that support that side of the building as well. So obviously a big part of this is meeting plumbing count and making sure that we do all of that, but then there's also the convenience aspect as well. So we are strategically meeting with your teams to understand where those need to land and quantities thereof.
Is there like a proper ratio that's required by building codes?
There is, yes. And building code primarily reads male and female, but much of the conversation that your core planning group had was experiencing not only the large sets of toilets, but universal toilets, meaning single stall toilets that will be also located throughout the building.
Great. Which will add better convenience for students and teachers, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, assuming they have time to go. Thank you.
Hit the nail right on the head there. First of all, thank you for having such a diverse group of people giving input. I especially enjoyed seeing Ethan and Vanessa on there since their unique experiences. I'm wondering, as a pre-K teacher myself, how much pre-K input was put in, and why we only have 2 spaces allotted for that right now.
I can start with, when we started with ECMAC, I'm gonna take you back 6 years.
Yep.
And when ECMAC had asked for capacity calculations, as you were starting to, you were really studying your enrollment in depth, part of that process was setting some assumptions for your schools, so that the district could say, all right, we've got some that are bursting at the seams, we've got some, or maybe we have a little bit extra space. What is the model that we want to strive towards and manage our capacity at? And part of those assumptions were holding 2 rooms per elementary school for 4-year-old programming. Knowing that you have many programs that you include in any or all of your buildings, it's generically, they're just called 4-year-old programs at this point. We did have district leadership from community ed at our core planning group meetings, and then part of, or one of the user groups is just to meet with those, a set of teachers in that group to design those appropriately for the littles.
Absolutely. I just might suggest that, given the READ Act and a few other things that are happening, what we might have thought 6 years ago might be different now.
Sure, thank
So
you.
just something to keep in the back.
Thank you.
Of mind. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, our next agenda item is the audience opportunity to address the school board. I have a few guidelines, just as a reminder. I just want to remind everyone here that regardless of our point of view before the board, we all have the best interest of our scholars in mind. We want our children to care about each other even when there's disagreement. So we strive to be one community, and in doing so, decorum matters in this public space as we share perspectives. Speakers will be called to the podium in this order: students, parents, staff, community members, and others. When I call your name, please come to the microphone and state your name, the topic, and whether or not you're a resident. Our comments are requested to be kept to 3 minutes. They are timed. You'll get a 30-second warning. Please address the entire board. That means we're not addressing an individual board member or the audience verbally or with posters or literature. Handouts for board members are to be placed on the information table or given to Sherry, our board secretary over there. We will listen and not respond back at this time, including those in the audience. That includes no clapping, making noise, anything like that. If you would like someone to follow up with you on your question, please let the board secretary know. Comments and interactions between board members and the public are expected to be respectful, courteous, professional, and civil. For the good of our community, personnel concerns should be directed to individuals in the following order: building principal, executive director for human resources, assistant superintendent, and finally in writing to the board. Thank you for listening to all that. I appreciate it. Our first person up today is Abdullahi Aden. Ramadan Mubarak.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Abdullahi Aden. I'm a parent and a resident of Osio School District 279. I just wanted to to talk a little bit about concerning towards us incoming on April for some changes to school advisory time. I also have children who attend also school. I appreciate the school district recent notification of the upcoming LGBTQ lesson in April. I appreciated that it was a single email, so I could easily find it, and that the information was laid out plainly. I reviewed the lesson for April, and it led me to seriously question the intent and desired outcomes of the lesson. The language in the LGBTQ lesson is extremely concerning and repeatedly conveys opinion and theories as facts. The language of the lesson will alienate students who don't agree with these theories. The lesson gives the student the false choice between adopting these views that are direct contradiction to their beliefs or facing unfounded accusation of being harmful toward those you disagree with. Imagine you are a student who wants to uphold their constitutional rights to freely practice their beliefs, but you get told by trusted people in authority that because you believe there are only two genders, you hold toxic beliefs, and as such, you are harmful to your classmates. Do you see the negative impact this will have on a student who disagree with this lesson? There is a video about misgendering in the lesson that implies the student that misgender. Other students should be socially ashamed, but misgendering can only occur if you believe that people can change their gender. One direct quote from a video in the lesson is, "Getting someone's gender right is on you." This lesson states that transgender and non-binary students need outside validation in order to thrive, and if you don't validate their perceived gender, you are the bad person. This will cause a great mental distress to our students who want to sacrifice their deeply held beliefs for someone else's beliefs. The goal set out in the email notifying parents
30 seconds remaining.
Parents of the LGBTQ lesson in that the school district would like to see LGBTQ students elevated based on lesson. The cost of elevating the student, complete denial of their rights, other students to freely practice their beliefs. That isn't the goal of education. The goal should instead be teaching academics and let the students decide for themselves what their worldview is. The celebration of LGBTQ Pride Month promotes a particular ideology.
You can finish your thought.
Ideology or worldview, and thus align with the beliefs of values for everyone in our community. Public schools are government institutions and as such should be neutral and not discriminate against those who hold different perspectives. Our school should be the students of all backgrounds can coexist and thrive without endorsing any unbelief system. Our students' sexual orientation or gender identity is irrelevant to educational topics and inappropriate to the school testing. It is families and not the school that should discuss the private topics with their children. Also, school districts, I ask that you withdraw the lesson because it exhibits clear viewpoint discrimination and it violates the rights of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Linda Tripp.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm here representing parents to request effective action addressing the accessibility and prevalence of porn on school-issued devices. Parents mistakenly believe the school district internet filters prevent student exposure to inappropriate content. Please publicly correct this misconception. Pornographic images such as women in G-string bikinis provocatively posed and animated sex scenes involving bondage and oral sex are easily accessed on school devices. These images are available to any 279 student with a school-issued device, regardless of their age, even though these images could result in workplace termination or disciplinary action against staff. Please view printed copies of these images in the back of the room. Even students who actively avoid the content, such as this, frequently encounter porn as a result of search engines, typos, and internet algorithms. Since the 279 IT department does not reliably identify exposure to porn, it is likely no one except for the student is aware of the exposure, and both educators and guardians miss the opportunity to intervene and support the student. The content available to 279 students is astounding when compared with employers and other school districts. The FCC's Internet Protection Act states schools must, quote, block or filter internet access to pictures that are obscene, child pornography, or harmful to minors. Current filters and policies are not effective. It is unrealistic to expect teachers to effectively monitor 30-plus student devices while simultaneously while teaching. Furthermore, students know how to get around the in-classroom software monitoring system. Consequently, students face the developmentally inappropriate choice of completing schoolwork versus watching online episodes of Family Guy or Harlequin. CommonSenseMedia.org describes Harlequin as, quote, sex, drugs, and guts galore, an action-packed adult comedy that is not suitable for teens. Current district policy
30 seconds remaining.
holds parents responsible for the content their student accesses at school, but doesn't allow parents the administrative access needed to intervene. Students can clear their view history, preventing parental supervision. Reaching out to school principals, the IT department, and the superintendent's office has been ineffective in removing this content from student devices. Once a student mistakenly encounters porn, internet algorithms display additional porn, thus further exposing the student completing assignments on their school-issued device.
Time.
According to EducateEmpowerKids.org, repeated exposure to porn changes the brain itself, negatively impacts mental health, and results in more violent attitudes and actions towards women. Our student safety relies upon the school board making the urgent and necessary changes to prevent children's exposure to pornography as they do their schoolwork. Please take action. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is J. Aaron White.
Thank you to the board for this opportunity. As you said, my name is J. Aaron White. My son is an athlete in the Osseo School District. Just addressing tonight your proposed LGBTQIA+ high school advisory lesson. Some of the stated goals of this lesson are to establish brave spaces to create a more inclusive and compassionate Osseo community. Remember the importance of being an upstander, which means being accepting and standing with and supporting the LGBTQIA+ community. And interestingly, it says the focus of this lesson is not to change beliefs. With the limited time that I have, I simply want to highlight the fact that this curriculum absolutely intends to change beliefs, so much so that the cognitive dissonance in these stated goals is staggering. So here's what I mean. Your demand for inclusivity is at bottom a demand for affirmation, or to use your terminology, to be an upstander. This entire premise assumes that the LGBTQIA+ persons are ontologically what they are externally. In other words, their actions are reflective of who they really are. To reject the actions or lifestyle is thus to reject the person. So the adage of hating the sin while loving the sinner is no longer tenable, nor is it accepted. This modern notion of self has been highlighted by Canadian philosopher Charles Taylor, who says that the modern worldview focuses on, quote, inwardness or the inner psychological life as decisive for who we think we are. In the name of academic honesty and the compassion that is apparently so highly valued, we must acknowledge this lesson is an attempt to change beliefs, since many people, Christians and non-Christians, do not believe that, as Taylor noted, one's inner feelings determine reality. While we affirm the inherent dignity of every human being, we cannot affirm the goodness of every human choice. And that is the point of departure between us and this lesson. This lesson is built on the premise that feelings are determinative, and therefore the person with those feelings has no other choice. Thus, to marginalize them for something out of their control would be hurtful, unloving, and dehumanizing. Yet, this loudly begs the question whether feelings are in fact determinative. For many people, the answer is a resounding no. Mandating this lesson for faculty and students would, despite its stated goal, demand that they radically change their beliefs, their worldview. This is stunningly unloving and needlessly dichotomizing. In your zeal to create a so-called brave space, you are instilling great fear and anxiety in the lives of those who, like many generations prior, are able to say, I love the sinner, but I don't love the sin. Or, in modern parlance, just because I reject your choices does not mean that I reject your humanity. But this is the crux of the issue, isn't it? In the name of compassion and bravery, I ask you to refrain from demanding that faculty and staff jettison their worldview in favor of yours. If you do, a brave space might actually be one in which those faculty and students speak up with much fear nonetheless and refuse to accept the lesson, though they won't refuse to love the people that it represents. So I ask you to please choose wisely, lest we become the ideological tyrants that we often decry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is George Budzinski.
My name is George Budzinski. I'm the grandparent of kids in the Osseo School District. I live in the district. Good evening to the school board, Dr. Heil, and guests. We read, my wife and I, Fun Home this week. It is a celebrated autobiography which has been praised by critics who recognize it for what it is. A revealing and unvarnished look at how very dysfunctional families can be. It's a thought-provoking account of life for a young girl coming to terms with her homosexuality while she has no clear role models to relate to. And it's a challenging romp through literary classics that deal with sexual themes and gay life, but which during Allison's teen life weren't allowed to be described as such in high school English. Fun Home has been described by the book banners as pornographic, as having no socially redeeming virtues, as content we should protect our teens from seeing or reading. To them I say politely, you must be joking. By the time they are sophomores in high school, our teens will have already seen and heard far more explicit images and language, most likely already in middle school. The language and images used by political candidates during unguarded moments, on HBO, in movies, on the internet, and by teens' peers ensures that. What counts as socially redeeming content? I contend it is that which helps our kids understand the world around themselves and the world into which they go directly after graduation. One where they need to be prepared for mature issues of sexuality, to tell right from wrong, and know their own identity. If they are not allowed to question, challenge, and confirm their identity, how will they be ready to make good decisions and relate to others on college campuses, at vocational schools, at work, when dating, and when out with friends? Teens need to see content like that presented in Fun Home. It is contexted, it is not highly explicit, and it is certainly not pornographic. We trust the professionals who make age-appropriate content decisions every day to curate the school libraries. And we say to parents who want to protect kids, screen your own teens' books, not ours. Age-appropriate policy is just another word for book banning. And when we expect our high school students who graduate from here, some of those who immediately will join the military and are prepared to give their life to defend this country, they deserve to read what they want to read. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Craig.
Good evening, school board. My name is Sarah Craig, and I'm a parent in the school district. I'm speaking about the LGBTQIA+ lesson that will be taught in district high schools in April. As a parent of 6 kids in our district, I express my gratitude for the diligence of their over 30 teachers, as well as the dozens of assistants, aides, and administrators who help them daily. An email was sent to parents of high schoolers recently notifying them of the planned LGBT+ lesson, followed up by making the curriculum available for review. There were many red flags in both the email and lesson plan, but I will focus on a few.
The email starts by listing numerous Minnesota civil rights laws and uses language that implies that schools are required to have LGBT lessons. This is untrue. The laws state that LGBT students cannot be discriminated against, which we support, but it does not require lessons surrounding these topics, which we do not support. It is frustrating that the school district continues to misrepresent what is required by law and what is permissible by law. While there is noted an opt-out option, why is it not reversed in offering this as an opt-in? Both within the teacher's lesson script and also in a video that students will watch, it states that students should use someone's preferred pronouns, and the emphasis on using correct pronouns, implying this is a universal truth. The narrator in the video states that when someone is misgendered, it can cause a transgender or non-binary person to feel they are not validated and respected, and that this can cause a risk to them. Most students wouldn't want to be accused of risking harm to someone by being unkind or disrespectful. This video is using social pressure to emotionally manipulate students in order to get them to comply with preferred pronouns. The First Amendment prevents us from being required to articulate, advocate, or adhere to messages. The Supreme Court addressed this issue in relation to public schools in 1943 when it confirmed that schools cannot require students to confess by word or act what they don't believe. It is noticed that the safe space has now become a brave space. During the lesson, a poem is read. A line in the poem repeated by the script of the teacher states, "We amplify the voices that fight to be heard elsewhere." Amplify is defined as making larger or greater in amount, importance, or intensity. Why amplify any voice above another? By nature, elevating one voice
30 seconds
diminishes
remaining.
another. Our schools should be a safe place where all are treated equally and with respect, and where no bullying is allowed or tolerated. There should be collaboration and transparency between our teachers, administration, parents, and community on these matters. Who was involved in writing this lesson? When exactly is this lesson being held? Why are students' responses being collected? Why are we not able to view these teaching materials until days before its presentation to the students?
Time.
How have you taken into consideration the parent and community feedback you have received regarding these topics? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charmaine Howell.
Dear school board members, Dr. Heil, Cabinet and District 279 community, my name is Charmaine Howell. I am a mother of 5 students in the school district. I will read the following statement on behalf of a senior high teacher with over 25 years in education and over 15 years in the district. During the first week of April, each high school student will receive a lesson focused on LGBTQIA+ community. For the first time in my career, I am not able to conscientiously provide required instruction to my students for the following reasons. 1, I am not qualified to provide the instruction. Yes, the district provided us 3 hours of training on February 5th on how to provide a fully scripted lesson. This does not prepare me to answer student questions or direct discussions that will unfold during this lesson. 2, this lesson crosses the line of what is deemed appropriate in an educational setting. The material presented is not open to other perspectives or other beliefs. The students receiving this lesson are as young as 14 years old, and I cannot deem that they are of appropriate age. Students are required to submit feedback on their personal thoughts and feelings, making this a recordable survey of students. 3, parents need to consent to this lesson being taught. This is my primary concern, that the district has gone down the path of implied consent by parents and guardians. Parents and guardians should be provided an opportunity to opt their child into receiving these lessons. The district has failed to do their due diligence with sharing details about the lesson and the opt-out opportunity to families. I have been asked by multiple families about when they will receive information about the lesson being provided in April, which was supposedly sent out 10 days ago. 4, this lesson attempts to present unproven universal truths. This lesson focuses on gender being a social construct and not being based on the concept that individuals are created as male and female. This goes against what has been established by hundreds of generations and what science has adamantly proven over time. It is wrong for it to be communicated as a universal truth by teachers to teenage students. 5, this lesson is taking advantage of students' trust and innocence. This district has been discreet in their rollout of the lesson to staff, students, and family. They have directed and forced adults who are in authority and have relationships with these students to present a lesson with such content that is sexual in nature, with the intention to persuade and entice students into embracing the material and ideologies that are shared. It is for this reason that it could be interpreted as being an effort of grooming our teenagers. I
30
will not be
seconds
part
remaining.
of any effort that has any hint of grooming, especially without a parent consenting to the instruction. District 279 leadership has taken on many great initiatives over the years for the betterment of our students. It is my fear that we are all witnessing an effort that is bringing about more harm, hurt, and confusion on our students, staff, and families. District 279, we are better than this. From a teacher being forced to tap out.
Thank you. The next speaker is a teacher in the district.
I'd like to dedicate the next 3 minutes to Nex, a non-binary student in Oklahoma who was bullied to death by their classmates a month ago. Hello, I am a science teacher in the district, and I use they, them pronouns. I would like to name the fact that I feel nervous sharing my full name at this meeting. For the past 2 years, this room has been overrun by people causing very real harm to students, staff, and community members who are a part of or show support for the LGBTQIA+ community. There are a lot of people who feel their physical safety is at risk if they show up to speak tonight. In my classroom, we use facts to back up the concepts that we are learning about. We get these facts from evidence-based research, hands-on lab activities, and by learning from each other. So in the spirit of what I expect out of my kids, I'd like to share some scientific data with you all tonight. In our district, 2.7% of students self-reported to be trans, non-binary, or gender expansive, and 20% identify as LGBTQIA+. In the 2022 Minnesota Student Survey, we learned that based on gender identity, students in Osseo School District are 6 times as likely to have been bullied in the past 30 days. These same students are also 3 times as likely to self-harm. Based on sexual orientation, students in Osseo School District are 8 times as likely to be bullied. These same students are 4 times as likely to self-harm and twice as likely to attempt suicide. National statistics show that LGBTQ youth who found their school to be LGBTQ affirming reported lower rates of attempting suicide. Every time someone speaks at a school board meeting about banning books or keeping our students from learning about the LGBTQIA+ community, you add to these statistics. Every time someone speaks out against our very basic human right to exist and be treated with respect, you add to these statistics. Every time someone dead names a child or refuses to use their correct pronouns, you add to these statistics. It is our job as educators to ensure that students feel safe at school. Part of this includes educating students about LGBTQIA+ identities and history. Because with a lack of education comes misunderstanding, and with misunderstanding comes hate, and with hate comes harm. Students aren't losing anything by being present during the LGBTQIA+ advisory lesson. Students are only gaining knowledge and empathy for those that might be different from them. And for the students and staff who are a part of the queer community, we know that we are seen, heard, and safe at school and within our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jess Stewart.
Good evening, Chair Mosqueda Jones, board members, Dr. Heil, and cabinet. My name is Jess Stewart, and I'm a longtime teacher in the district. On February 5th, high school licensed staff received professional development regarding LGBTQIA+ culture and history. We also received training on a lesson that we will be sharing with our students in April. At some of the board meetings following the February 5th professional development, we heard community members share anonymous feedback from a few teachers sharing frustration with that professional development. It's important to note that those anonymous stories are not the entire picture and do not represent all staff who attended that professional development. I'm going to share with you some additional stories of some other staff who were there. These colleagues have given me permission to share their names, positions, and their experiences. Johanna Beaupre, social studies teacher. I would like to share my positive experience with the LGBTQIA training that I received on February 5th for the upcoming advisory lesson. The training was accessible, interesting, insightful, and applicable to not only the upcoming lesson, but to creating inclusive classrooms for all students. The content surrounding LGBTQIA+ history and terminology was factual, and the presenters and curators of the material provided opportunities for feedback to make the content more accessible to students. The training was delivered with sensitivity and care, and the presenters were free of judgment of staff with varying levels of knowledge and emotions. This lesson is vital to creating safe and inclusive environments for all students, which is the basis of learning. Our students have the right to feel seen, welcomed, and valued in our schools, and I look forward to delivering this lesson to my students in April. Natalie Strauss, science teacher. I personally was super impressed with the lesson to be taught. The historical information and timeline was very interesting, and I learned a lot. Ann Vu, ELA teacher. Teaching the LGBTQIA+ lesson celebrates diversity and promotes inclusivity in our schools. And most importantly, our lesbian, gay, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual students will see their experiences and identities reflected in this lesson and will feel heard, valued, and supported. This lesson will literally change lives. As a teacher in Osseo area schools, I am incredibly proud and thankful that our district has the powerful vision to build a community of greater acceptance. Beth Demarest, ELA teacher. I am so proud of our district for taking further steps toward inclusion and equity for our students.
30 seconds remaining.
The LGBTQ+ lesson will help students who have been marginalized to be seen and heard. It will also raise basic awareness for all students. Teaching this lesson is one simple act of kindness we can give our students, all of our students. Is teaching compassion and acceptance any less important to our children than any other subject? Kira Kissick, ELA teacher. Ignoring the experiences of LGBTQIA+ scholars creates an unsafe learning environment. Safety must always be ensured before learning can take place. And the list goes on and on. Because I don't have enough time, I will be sending this list as an email to the board and to the cabinet and to Superintendent Heil, so you can continue to read the positive feedback that we have from colleagues about the lesson and about the training that occurred on February 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Katie Ziba.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Heil. My name is Katie Ziba. I use she, her pronouns. I'm here tonight as a proud educator in the district, a very proud alumni of the district, and most importantly, as an ally for my LGBTQ students and colleagues. I have listened to and heard their lived experiences. I also represent many educators who are committed to our service in public education, educators who have a duty and a privilege to teach students from all walks of life. I also want to start by saying the name Nex Benedict. Nex was a non-binary student in Oklahoma who was brutally murdered in their school bathroom, targeted, tormented, bullied, and killed simply for being who he was. Nex Benedict School did not have policies like our LGBTQIA history and culture resolution. Their district didn't have lessons like our upcoming April lesson. His teachers did not protect him from bullies. In fact, just last night at their school board meeting, dozens of other parents spoke about similar bullying. It was not an isolated incident. It is born from larger systemic problems. The state of Oklahoma currently has over 40 anti-LGBTQ laws. In response to this tragedy, an Oklahoma state senator said, "We don't want that filth in Oklahoma." To my LGBTQ students and colleagues, you are not filth, you are beauty, you are love, and we want you here. These policies, these resolutions, these lessons are saving lives. I have students just like Nex in my classroom. Every teacher does, even the teachers who are uncomfortable with this lesson. Students like Nex who are picked on, Students like Nex who have classmates who don't understand their gender journey or use of different pronouns. That's why these lessons are not only important, but imperative. I brag about this district so often. I'm so proud of it. I brag about us being on the forefront of equity progress, of creating safe and brave brave spaces for our students to be who they are and reach their fullest potentials. I've been told so many times Osseo is doing so many things right and that we're leading the way. My students learn about things they don't believe in. We learn about Ramadan, about Passover, about Dia de los Muertos. They celebrate with their classmates. They aren't indoctrinated. They aren't harmed. Reversely, they are better classmates and friends for knowing more about the people they learn beside each day. But what I'm often most discouraged by is that I don't have to look far for bullies in this district. Some are in my classroom, but they're also here at these meetings, saying we shouldn't be teaching this lesson or passing these policies. I talk a lot in my classroom about messages, what messages we send with our words and actions. This usually refers to the messages they send when they're on their cell phones in class. But there are other valuable lessons from it. I can't help but wonder what messages our LGBTQ students are receiving when they hear there are teachers who refuse to teach a lesson that highlights the beautiful pieces of their identity. Teachers they trust. What message does it send when parents pull their students from a learning opportunity that celebrates a group of students for the first time and promotes empathy and inclusion? I know my students think about Nex. All these kids want to be able to do is be themselves, to go to school and have their classmates treat them with kindness and respect. Every student deserves to see themselves in a public school in content and in representation. This is not about indoctrination or pushing one belief system. Is it about seeing kids and telling them their value is not something they can earn or lose? That value is theirs, and we will always, always recognize it as their teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dewan Bato. Sorry, didn't mean to mispronounce your name. I totally butchered it, didn't I? Sorry, Dewan.
Good evening. My name is Dewan Batua, and I'm here to discuss the upcoming LGBTQIA+ lessons slated for April in our district high schools. And as a parent within this district, I feel compelled to express my concerns. First and foremost, I want to extend my gratitude for the opportunity to address this board tonight. Your dedication to serving our community and ensuring the highest standards of education within our district are truly commendable, and I deeply appreciate the efforts of each member. However, as a concerned parent deeply invested in the well-being of our children and a committed member of this vibrant community, I find myself disheartened by the current trajectory of our educational system, particularly regarding the LGBTQIA+ agenda. While I'm a staunch advocate for diversity and inclusion, this lesson veers into viewpoint discrimination and emotional manipulation rather than genuine education. Schools should be neutral spaces where students of all backgrounds thrive without the imposition of any specific belief system. And while discussions around sexual orientation and gender identity are undoubtedly important, they should be handled delicately within the family unit rather than within the school curriculum. As a writer and published author, I understand the influence of words and their impact on perspectives. Beyond indoctrination concerns, I'm troubled by the oversight in selecting lesson materials. Crediting the poem An Invitation to Brave Space incorrectly to Mickey Scott Bay Jones instead of its true author, Beth Strano, reveals a failure in vetting educational resources. This oversight calls into question the integrity and credibility of the entire curriculum. It's essential that the materials used in our schools undergo thorough vetting to ensure their accuracy and authenticity. The fact that a plagiarized poem made its way into our curriculum suggests a breakdown in the review process, which is deeply concerning. As stewards of our children's education, we have a responsibility to uphold the highest standards of integrity and credibility. When questionable materials are introduced into our curriculum, it undermines the trust and confidence in our educational system. We must take immediate steps to address this oversight and implement stricter protocols for selecting and vetting educational materials. Our students deserve nothing less than the best, and that includes a curriculum that is free from plagiarism and reflects the highest standards of academic integrity. I urge the board to thoroughly reconsider the implementation of this agenda and to prioritize unbiased education that respects the diverse perspectives and values of all members of our community. Thank you for your attention to this matter and for your continued dedication to the betterment of our educational system.
Thank you. Our final speaker tonight is Ivana Stark.
Hello. I am a 2001 Park Center graduate and former employee. I was a cheerleader on the yearbook committee, and for the most part, I had a pretty typical high school experience. After high school, I received my undergraduate degree from the U of M and my master's degree from the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I have 2 kids, aged 2 and 20. Yes, we did that. And now I am the state director of a nonprofit. I'm also an elected official in my community. I was at the legislature at work when this bill came up around prohibiting book bans, and I was really excited to speak on this in my home district. You see, I grew up with a disabled, abusive father. I was sexually assaulted by a male athlete in high school, and I was told by my guidance counselor that sometimes pretty girls should just get married instead of go to college. While I experienced hurdles in school, I am proud of the education and the inspiration that this district gave me to do good in the world. While I had a complicated relationship with school, I had an uncomplicated relationship with books. They were my safe place, my home, where I could go learn without judgment, escape into new ideas, and be challenged in how I was thinking about myself and the world. You have been given a letter that has been signed by district graduates, residents, staff, and parents. This community overwhelmingly rejects any move to restrict access to books and information. 70% of Americans agree. Book bans shrink the worldview for students and stall their ability to learn about new cultures and ideas. It stunts our growth as a community and as Americans. The push to ban or even limit books is a threat to diversity in thought. In the past, banning books occurred to manipulate, control, and defeat entire groups of people. South Africa banned Black Beauty because it challenged apartheid. Germany banned anti-German books in the 1930s. The Dark was banned for addressing church sex abuse in Ireland. And The Bluest Eye, which I'm reading right now and love, by Toni Morrison, has been in the top 10 list of banned books since 1970 because it questions societal standards of beauty related to race, class, and gender. The list goes on, but all examples are people in power seeking to protect that power by banning books. These politically motivated acts of censorship are used to exclude children from feeling like they belong. This new generation of books on the chopping block share stories about acceptance of gender identities, the history of segregation, slavery, and violence against people of color. In other words, there's a move to silence the story of our country. Sometimes the truth is hard to deal with, and that's okay, but that's how we move forward together. Banning books is an inappropriate overreach and harmful to the students we're sworn to support and protect. I will always be a part of this community. This district taught me that. This community is better than banning books in order to target children and make them feel like they are less than. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the superintendent's report. Dr. Heil.
Thank you. Good evening. I always enjoy following audience opportunity to talk. So, good evening, Chair Mosquito Jones and the school board members. As we held space for each other this evening, ensuring that all voices are valued and heard, we also need to remember the following quote from Justin Jones Fasu, who wrote The Inclusive Mindset. Real diversity and inclusion doesn't mean that we will always agree. It means that even when we disagree, we still respect each other. We can vehemently disagree with someone's ideology while passionately pursuing their humanity. We need to continue to work to have auxiliary schools become the role model for other districts in seeing how differing perspectives can come together and voices are heard and honored, which creates an exceptional learning environment for all students who walk through our doors. This will in turn assist our scholars when they leave this district to be able to navigate a global world that has many differences. This goal matches our district's strategic direction to create safe, welcoming, and inclusive learning environments that foster global curiosity, belonging, innovation, and engagement. By always keeping each and every one of our scholars at the forefront and creating an environment where all can thrive, we'll be able to move our work forward with the understanding that we are meeting the needs of our scholars as stated in our district strategic plan. We will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that Osseo area schools becomes one community for all. A regular part of our superintendent's report is to share points of pride in our district. By sharing our points of pride, we're taking time to recognize and celebrate our scholars, our staff, our community members, our families who are contributing to accomplishments of our mission, which is to inspire and prepare each and every scholar with the confidence, courage, and competence to achieve their dreams, contribute to community, and engage in a lifetime of learning. I have members of our district cabinet here this evening to assist in sharing some examples from the last month.
In the area of achieving dreams, congratulations to Osseo Senior High School student Michael James, who is named the Region 5 AA AAA Award finalist. Each school in the state nominates one male and one female student, with the 32 finalists being selected from those students. James is a decorated member of the Osseo Senior High Band, participating in multiple groups including jazz band, marching band, and pep band, as well as all-state band. He's also a 6-year athlete and captain of the tennis team and was named the Mr. Oriole recipient for his contributions to the boys' soccer team. James participates in a number of advanced placement courses and National Honor Society. Congratulations to Maple Grove Senior High School senior Benjamin Steele, who was named a 2024 National Merit Scholarship finalist. Steele scored among the top 1% of over 2 million PSAT exams. Merit Scholars designees are selected on the basis of their skills, accomplishments, and potential for success in rigorous college studies. National Merit Scholarship winners of 2024 will be announced in 4 nationwide news releases beginning in April and concluding in July. These scholarship recipients will join nearly 375,000 other distinguished young people who have earned the Merit Scholar title. The winter sports postseason is in full swing. Congratulations to the teams that have finished their season so far. The Maple Grove Senior High Jazz Dance won 2nd place in the AAA state meet. The Maple Grove Crimson Adaptive Floor Hockey CI team, made up of members from Maple Grove Senior High School, Osseo Senior High School, and Park Center Senior High, won the consolation championship in the state tournament. The Adapted Floor Hockey PI team also won the consolation championship in their state tournament. The Maple Grove Senior High School girls hockey team won the consolation championship in the Class AA state tournament. Maple Grove Senior High's Kenton Prudhomme placed 60th in the Osseo Senior High's Quinlan Runquist places 61st in the Nordic Ski Boys Pursuit State Tournament. Maple Grove Senior High School's Ben Schultz placed 2nd in the 215 class of the Boys Wrestling State Tournament. In boys swim and dive, the Osseo Senior High School relay team placed 15th in both the 200 medley and the 400 free relay race. Stay tuned on our website for more updates as state tournaments are completed. Park Center High School took on a hefty lift for its spring musical this year with the show Les Miserables, the Tony Award-winning musical that has been a mainstay of many theater scenes since the 1980s. Director Kate Kalavik said, "If you choose this show, you have to have the singers who have the stamina and the musical ability to pull it off. It's not for the faint of heart." CCX Media recently spotlighted Osseo Senior High School Julia Boehm, whose ceramic work was one of 150 selected for this year's National K-12 Ceramic Exhibition Award. Boehm said, "You never know what you can do before you do it. How a ball of clay can come out to all of this stuff. It's just a lot of using your mind and using your abilities to create something, and that's really cool, and I like that." Students in the Unified Art class at Maple Grove Senior High School recently hosted a gallery show and reception to show off their collaborative artwork to families, staff, and community members. In the art class, led by teacher Erin Bowe, the special education and general education scholars come together to create beautiful works of art through the curriculum Bowe created especially for unified classes across the state. The projects include a ceramic quilt, a ceramic story quilt, identity collages, abstract landscapes, mini murals with a message, collaborative abstract portraits, a collaborative scratchboard city, and self-portraits in pastels.
Steven Swinson is a forensic science supervisor at the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Swinson has had a passion for forensics since his time at Maple Grove Senior High School, where he graduated in 1999. His class was the first one to start at the new building, which was built in 1996, and went all the way through the high school. Swinson was recently highlighted on the district website in a graduate spotlight. While at Maple Grove Senior High, Swinson was a jumper captain on the track and field team. He also participated in band and played for a year on the football and basketball teams. Swinson was in the post-secondary program at Maple Grove Senior High, earning college credit for his classes. His time participating in these activities taught him how to work hard for a positive outcome. Swinson said, "One of the best lessons I learned from high school was that working hard can really get you somewhere. Putting in a lot of effort and doing the things that are difficult are worth it in the end." The Birch Grove School for the Arts Gymnasium was transformed into a beautiful underwater world for its spring musical, Finding Nemo Jr. The show ran for 4 performances, March 8th through the 10th, after the production's cast and crew spent over 2 months rehearsing and preparing both before and after school. Love Nemo. Maple Grove Senior High School junior Allison Bell and senior Madison Hulskamp recently had their artwork selected to be included in the National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts Student Art Exhibition. Their work will be showcased at the National Conference in Richmond, Virginia, which gathers professionals from universities, colleges, museums, art galleries, and the ceramic arts world to a host city to view exhibitions, demonstrations, talks, and other ceramic events. Congratulations to these talented students. Contagious energy filled the Parkbrook Elementary School gymnasium when the school's Double Dutch team took center stage to show off the skills they have been working on after school for the past several months. The Parkbrook Wolves showed off individual jumping skills, partner jumping, and tricks such as jumping while also dribbling a basketball, jumping on a pogo stick, or jumping rope with an individual rope at the same time as with the Double Dutch ropes. Oakview Elementary School recently hosted a Grandpersons Day to kick off their book fair and wrap-up, I Love to Read Month. Students and their visitors came to school early to explore the book fair and spend time reading books together. They then went to the cafeteria together to enjoy cinnamon rolls and donuts. In the area of contributing to community, CCX Media joined Ann Mack and Cassie Sherling's Unified Advisory class at Osseo Middle School for a school spotlight. The advisory brings together students in special education classes and students in general education classes to participate in projects such as mural, emphasizing kindness. National School Breakfast Week was March 4th through the 8th in Osseo area schools. The dedicated nutrition services workers work each day to provide students with nutritious and delicious breakfast, free to all students. Around 300 to 400 students eat breakfast at each site every day. During the week, students across the district had the opportunity to find a hidden golden ticket to win a prize. Winners at each site received a Barnes & Noble gift card, with a few grand prize winners receiving an iPad or camcorder.
In the area of lifelong learning, Osseo Senior High School hosted the 7th annual Osseo Speaks Black History Month showcase at the end of February, put on by the Osseo Black Student Union. In front of a large crowd, students performed various acts, including a few poems and songs, a skit, music trivia, a rap battle, a fashion show, and performances by the Majorette Dance Group, West African Dance Troupe, and East African Dance Group. Students at Fernbrook Elementary School dove into reading during the end of I Love to Read Month. The dedicated library media specialist team transformed the space into an underwater adventure full of deep-sea creatures and ocean-themed books. Students also participated in other activities such as completing a classroom book bingo and finding a gold turtle hidden around the school to win a free book for their classroom library. The library media specialist team also picked out select dive into reading books where students could win an entry to a drawing when they check out those books, with the chance to win a free book. 8th grade orchestra students from Brooklyn Middle STEAM, Maple Grove Middle, Northview Middle, and Osseo Middle Schools recently performed at a district orchestra festival for their parents and community members. The students rehearsed together for the first time that day, showing off their hard work during the evening performance. They were directed by Matthew Karen, orchestra director at Maple Grove Senior High School. 4th graders at Rice Lake Elementary School recently performed various civil rights songs at a Black History Month assembly on February 23rd. Students in other grades and teachers attended the assembly and applauded loudly at the end of each song. Students at Cedar Island Elementary School recently received a visit from author David LaRochelle and illustrator Mike Winnicka. The pair shared about the process of creating the various books that they have worked on together, including See the Dog and See the Cat. Weaver Lake, a science, math, and technology school, hosted Minnesota children's book author Matthew Schuffman as a reward for the top readers during the school's recent readathon. The engaging visit included a read-aloud, Q&A session, and an illustration activity. 72 Park Brook Elementary challenged themselves to the Kitterod Winter Adventure Course February 17th, put on by YMCA of the North. The event includes hiking, climbing, pulling, and sliding around winter obstacles.
Palmer Lake Elementary teamed up with Boston Scientific and the Works Museum to put on a fun, engaging night of science and engineering for the school's scholars and families. Students participated in a nature exhibit, science and art projects, building and circuitry activities, and a pizza dinner for families. Weaver Lake, a science, math, and technology school, had some special visitors on February 27th when the Animal Humane Society came to teach first graders about how to read animal body language and care for pets. A few local media outlets joined in on the fun event. Garden City Elementary ended Black History Month on a high note February 29th with an awards ceremony to cap off the school's door decorating contest. Each classroom decorated their door to match the theme of a book written by a Black author. In the area of mission-driven employees, National School Social Work Week was March 3 through 9. School social workers play a critical role in supporting students and teachers throughout the district. Thank you to all of our social workers for all that you do. February 21st was School Bus Driver Appreciation Day in Osseo area schools. Bus drivers work tirelessly each day to deliver students to and from school safely and on time. Bus driver Sharita Eli drives 3 routes each day, transporting students in elementary, middle, and high school. Eli's favorite part of her job is interacting with the students. She loves being able to see them over the years and their excitement when they see they have the same bus driver as last year. One of the students she drove as a 6th grader her first year is a senior now and will be graduating this year, which she says is very fun to witness. She enjoys seeing the students go from shy to talkative as they become more comfortable with her. Thank you, bus drivers, for all that you do. Birch Grove School for the Arts principal Dr. Ronald Salazar has been named one of 3 finalists for Minnesota's 2024 National Distinguished Principal Award. Congratulations, Dr. Salazar.
Thank you, team, and thank you to each and every district staff person who gives their time each and every day and part of their worlds to make our scholars' days better. You are appreciated. Our kindergarten orientation events are taking place at the district elementary school throughout the months of March and April. To learn more, visit our district website. Also, there will be no school for students and teachers the week of March 25th to the 29th for spring break. Teachers like, don't forget us, don't forget us. I won't be here. So join us on March 26th as well for those that are interested for our Spring Career Expo from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at Zanewood Community STEAM School. And so once again, from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank all of our parents and guardians for providing our district with the opportunity to educate your students. It is a privilege, and we do want to let you know that. So that concludes tonight's superintendent report. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the school board reports. Director Brooks, do you have a report for us?
I do. I actually have two today. So I'll start with the policy committee report from the meeting on March 12th. And thank you, Amy, for the report. The school board policy committee met at the Osseo Area Learning Center at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, December 6th. Board members Thomas Brooks, Tamara Grady, and Tanya Simons attended. Also participating was Superintendent Kim Heil, Director of Learning and Achievement Robin Gonzalez, Assistant Director of Learning and Achievement Joel Kim, Instructional Materials Coordinator Andy Boudreau, and General Counsel Amy Moore. During the meeting, the committee was provided updates to Procedure 312, Assignment and Transfer of Principals and Procedure 811, Naming School District Facilities, in which both procedures were updated to reflect current practices. The committee then discussed the following policies. Policies 613, Graduation Requirements, 616, World's Best Workforce, 624, Online Learning Options, 641, Alternative Instruction, 643, Human Sexuality and Sexually Transmitted Infections Education, 652, Instructional Materials Selection, Production, and Reevaluation. First, the proposed updates to Policy 613. Graduation requirements reflect current requirements, including Earth, Space Science, and Personal Finance. For Policy 616, World's Best Workforce, the policy was not in need of updates, but the procedures reflected current language regarding the meaning of World's Best Workforce. The committee then discussed current practice and requirements related to Policy and Procedure 624, Online Learning Options. Directors wanted to ensure all students have access to technology, and staff explained the new statutory requirements related to supplemental online courses. The committee heard minor updates to Policy 641, Alternative Instruction, that captures a broad array of materials such as audio and video recordings versus film strips, and that no updates are proposed for Policy 644, Community Resource Persons. The committee heard an update to the process that occurs when Policy 643, Human Sexuality and Sexually Transmitted Infections Education, is up for review. The committee heard that the Human Sexuality Curriculum Advisory Committee, made up of parents, has and will be meeting to review the curriculum and provide input. After that process is complete, the committee will review any proposed changes at the next policy meeting. Finally, the committee continued to discuss Policy 652, Instructional Materials Selection, Production, and Reevaluation. Staff provided a revised markup of the policy and procedures based on the committee's concerns and input. Committee members discussed ensuring that criteria for materials be consistent, providing a provision whereby parents may request that their students not check out specified material, how material is previewed prior to purchase, the makeup of the review committee, and the levels of review, including to the board. Because the committee has significant discussion and input, the policy and procedures will be reviewed again with consideration and input, and be reviewed and discussed at the next policy meeting. The first reading for policies 613, 616, 614, and 641 will occur at the April regular board meeting. The next policy committee meeting is scheduled to be held at the ESC on Tuesday, June 11th at 4:30 p.m. Policy committee meetings are open to the public, and community members are encouraged to attend. And then the second report is a whole lot shorter. So the RISE committee also met between our last meeting and today, and actually their last meeting of the school year is in April. At the last meeting, it was just an opportunity for parents to reconnect, I think for the first time actually this year. And in addition to that, there was some exploration of the district's recruitment and retention work, which I know is consistent with some of our board goals as well. So within that, they talked about our recruitment practices, enhancements to marketing and advertisement, some succession planning and career pathway opportunities for our scholars here in Osseo, employee resource groups and focus groups, our Grow Your Own program, retention best practices, and then our intentionality around workplace culture. So those are the two reports that I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Prince, do you have any reports?
Yes, so I serve on the District Planning Advisory Committee, and that committee met. That committee is comprised of two subcommittees. One is on the culturally responsive mental health. So this committee, I kind of mentioned before, it's a legislatively mandated committee, and the purpose of DPAC is to provide for the combined planning efforts of community and professional staff in curriculum planning and evaluation of the educational program, and prepare a series of recommendations from each subcommittee, which will contribute to a full group report to the board. So at the beginning of the year, there's an exploration of topics, then there's research, and then there's recommendations. So right now, the committees are primarily in the drafting recommendations. So I'm not going to spoil what the categories are, because I love you guys being able to hear when they bring them. So that work is being done right now. It is exciting to see what topics was picked this year, and we'll be able to see that when it comes to the full board. The other committee that I serve on, or I'm liaison to, is a district foundation. And so in this meeting, as a nonprofit board, we review normal items around financial reporting and programming. We did have a review of the financial management standards, which is a newer activity, but I think it's really useful for the community and for the board to know that that as the nonprofit arm of supporting the district, that we really have very high financial management standards and do review against those, which is really what does a best-in-class nonprofit look like, and especially when we look at sources and uses of funds. So it's exciting to see that discipline being brought forward in the foundation. We also discussed the night out preliminary results, and it's exciting to see that it looks like we're going to have one of our top years ever in terms of the revenue generated. So thank you to everybody who attended and participated in that event. It was very fun. It's held in February each year, so I would just welcome you to investigate that and attend next year. Our next event for the foundation coming up is the Investment in Youth Celebration. And this is an awards ceremony and dinner recognizing the many achievements and success stories of the students, staff, and volunteers in the Osseo area schools. So I'd invite you to go check on social media or at the 279 Foundation or to the website, and you can purchase tickets to attend. I would definitely welcome all of the board members to consider volunteering at that event and attending it. It's really a special evening, again, both for staff and students, to recommend or to recognize all of the achievements. Lastly, on the policy committee, I would just add that was a very thorough recap, and when we look at 652 with the curriculum selection, we're having a lot of productive discourse. We're having a lot of really good exchange of viewpoints, and so that is open to the public. So with a lot of focus and questions around curriculum selection, books, material selection, I'd invite the public to consider coming and attending and viewing that, and you can really see how we discuss these items and exchange perspectives on it, with the goal of having the best policy available for our district on all of the policies that we review. That's all.
Thank you. Director Mitchell.
Yes, I have some extra flyers here. We had a CPAC Planning Committee meeting last week. You can find this also on the website. CPAC's our community education program. And we are hosting a free event. It says at the top, this is free, and I promise you it actually is. We're gonna have really great coffee there, a free breakfast, and you're basically getting 2 free adult enrichment classes. And it's a great event on Saturday, May 11th from 9 to noon. So please check this out and invite someone that might be interested. Thank you.
No reports tonight. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I have a couple of reports. First of all, the board met for professional development on March 12th. And the focus of the session was evaluating the school board's work within the board's governance role and developing draft goals for improvement. The board and superintendent opened the meeting by participating in a team building activity. The board then participated in 3 governance focused activities. A governance check-in, where we were checking in about where the collaboration among the board members is effective and strong, where it's making progress, where there are opportunities for improvement, and what outstanding questions or wonderings that we may have had. A review of the board's self-evaluation results and where there were strengths and challenges within that evaluation, and identifying goals for improvement of the board's governance work based on the results of our check-in and the evaluation results. Thank you for that. And then I do want to say that Northwest Suburban Integration School District is meeting tomorrow, so I don't have a report except that Dr. Heil is our superintendent representative for that meeting, so we will both be there tomorrow night. On District 287, I'm part of the policy committee on that district, which again is our intermediate school district that services several of our students with differing needs. So we're looking at the student policies, and in 287, we've been working really hard to identify populations that will be impacted by each policy. And so in reviewing every policy that is in the district, there's been some lapse in reviewing the policies, so we're really kind of going hardcore on it. We've decided that each bucket or each individual policy was going to have different groups working on those policies depending upon who is impacted by it. So this one with the student policies was really exciting because there were 5 lessons. There was a lesson, a curriculum developed based on the state standards for social studies that was given into 5 classes, and students participated in a problem-solving course of discussion and with several different pedagogical methods and addressing several standards. And then they looked at it, and those suggestions all were implemented into the policies if they were feasible, except for wanting exotic fruits. They really wanted exotic fruits in the food policy, but that's not something we can do with the current programs that we have, but anybody who wants to donate some exotic fruits to 287, they're welcome to do that. But it was really, really exciting because then at our meeting that we just had, we got to hear interviews from the students and how that process went, and they had some really insightful discussions on differing policies. Like one thing I thought was interesting is we don't allow weapons at school, right? Some of our students live in situations where they might want to carry mace, for instance, in their traveling because they don't feel safe without it. And so they were suggesting, can we have a check-in for that at school? We can't legally because we don't have. But that was insightful on why we might find kids with differing things than we thought. So, and then we had a share the success story from our mobility specialist who works with people who are vision impaired. And then we we approved some student policies. So that's all I have for that. And our next agenda item is the consent agenda. It includes standard business items requiring approval such as meeting minutes, financial reports, personnel items, educational trips. There's a few interesting ones this time around. Any items that you would like to remove for separate consideration, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Director Mitchell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Prince. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, our first action item is the approval of the agreement of the terms and conditions of employment between ISD 279 School Board and teachers. for the period of July 1st, 2023 and June 30th, 2025. Executive Director of Human Resources will share the information. Laurel?
Good evening, Chair Mosqueda Jones, school board members, and Superintendent Dr. Heil. On the agenda this evening for school board action is a recommendation for approval of the teacher contract. The teacher group consists of approximately 1,700 licensed educators working tirelessly to provide educational services and support to our students. This contract expired on June 30th, 2022, and the new agreement contains language changes that reflect current district practices, as well as additional provisions that serve to support our district mission and strategic priorities, specifically the recruitment and retention of employees. Some specific changes include, in the salary schedule and rates of pay of the collective bargaining agreement, teachers will receive step and lane movement each year. In year one, teachers will receive a 6% increase to base salary. In year two, teachers will receive a 3% increase to base salary, with the final step and lane of the salary schedule at $109,180. The hourly rate in Schedule D will increase to $35 per hour the second year. In the group insurance section of the collective bargaining agreement, employees will receive district contributions to health insurance by the following. There's a 0% increase in year one and year two to the high plan. For the value plan, a 5% increase in year one, 6% in year two. And in the HSA plan, the high deductible plan, a 5% increase in year one, 7% in year two. In the deferred compensation section of the collective bargaining agreement, the matching contribution increased to $1,800 per year. In the leave section of the collective bargaining agreement, a naturalization leave section was added to allow for licensed staff to utilize sick time to complete the naturalization process. In the hours of service section, due process time was revised to allow teachers to request additional days for due process time and an appeal process if denied. In the memos of understanding section, 5 existing MOUs were updated and 2 new MOUs were created. Details of these changes are outlined in the memo attached to tonight's agenda. School board members have had the opportunity to review the proposed changes to the provisions contained in the terms and conditions, to ask questions, and to consider financial implications. The new contract provisions fall within the financial parameters set by the board for the 2023-2025 contract term. It is the superintendent's and my recommendation that you approve the teacher contract presented to you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve the agreement on the terms and conditions of employment between ISD 279 School Board and teachers July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Second from Director Grady. Thank you for allowing me to have that motion since I rarely get to do that. Is there any discussion? Again, thank you to our teachers. You know, I know of all people how hard we work and how it's getting harder every single year. So again, thank you for working through this bargaining process, working with us and doing the work that you do. It's imperative for our scholars. I'm excited about, particularly about the naturalization MOU. That's a good progress towards equity. But again, thank you. Okay, anyone else?
I'll do it.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes
We don't
unanimously.
count up there. We got you. President Burrows.
Motion passes 6-0 because I'm counting Tanisha. All right, our final action item is gifts to the district. Is there a motion to approve the gifts to the district totaling $54,233.84?
So moved.
All right, motion by Director Prince. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Mitchell. Any discussion? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Our final agenda item is adjournment. There will not be a closed session for negotiation strategies this evening. So is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:05 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Director Grady, is there a second? Second. Second by Director Prince. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Meeting is adjourned at 8:05.